की सेवा में गीता परिवार हमारा, गीता परिवार हमारा।
जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ, जय भारत माँ, जय गीता माँ।
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुरु सुधारी, बरनऊ रघुवर विमल जसु जोदायकु फलचारी। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार, बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेस विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपीसति लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन वरन विराज सुवेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर, राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुवीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीनी बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई। सहस वदन तुम्हारो जस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते, कवि कोविद कहि सकै कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। तुम्हारो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु, लील्योताहि मधुर फल जानू। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि, जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते, सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे, होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना, तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज संभारो आपै, तीनों लोक हांकते कांपै। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे, महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा, जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है, प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नौ निधि के दाता, सवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूट ही बंदी महा सुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी सा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय महडेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय महडेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरण, मंगल मूर्ति रूप, राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय।
सच्चिदानन्दं वासुदेवं व्रजप्रियम्।
Jai Shri Krishna to all the sadhaks present here. Today, in this most sacred and spiritual gathering, where the flowers of devotion are blossoming and the river of knowledge is flowing, in the middle half of the 18th Adhyay of the Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā, on behalf of Geeta Pariwar, I, Manasvi Sharma, heartily welcome all you inquisitive hearts who are seers of divine wisdom. So, let's all offer our respectful obeisances in our hearts unto the lotus feet of Yogeshwar Bhagavan Shri Krishna and our most revered Param Pujya Swamiji Shri Govinda Dev Giri Ji Maharaj. It is their grace and blessings that are providing auspicious energy and divinity to this gathering. Come, let's begin this auspicious occasion with a prayer that is filled with the desire for the welfare of the entire universe that spreads peace and harmony in every particle. I cordially invite B. Mahalakshmi Didi for this auspicious prayer. Didi is from Bangalore, joined Geeta Pariwar in September 2024, and Didi is engaged in many sevas such as technical assistant for level 1 to level 3 and core trainer for level 1. Didi, with your sweet voice, fill this courtyard with devotion towards Bhagavan.
जय श्री कृष्ण। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कौसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णौ वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णौ वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। जय श्री कृष्ण।
Heart-touching prayer has purified our hearts. We are very grateful to you. Now, to make this gathering of knowledge more radiant and auspicious, we proceed towards Deep Prajwalan. In our Sanatan Sanskriti, the Deepak is not just a source of light, but a symbol of knowledge, brilliance, and positive energy. This glowing flame reminds us that just as a lamp dispels even the deepest darkness with its light, in the same way, knowledge and goodwill can remove the veil of ignorance and negativity from our lives. For this sacred work, I cordially invite Pradnya Joshi Didi. Didi is from Palghar, joined Geeta Pariwar in July 2023, and Didi is engaged in many sevas such as intern trainer and level 1 core trainer. Didi, please come on the stage and light this auspicious Deepak in front of Bhagavan so that we all are showered with his blessings and this divine light brings new enthusiasm and inspiration in all our lives.
निषिद्धैरप्येभिर्लुलितमकरन्दो मधुकरैः करैरिन्दोरन्तश्छुरित इव सम्भिन्नमुकुलः विधत्तां सिद्धिन्नो नयनसुभगामस्य सदसः प्रकीर्णः पुष्पाणां हरिचरणयोरञ्जलिरयम् शरदिन्दुनिभां शुभ्रां शुभ्रवस्त्रैरलङ्कृतां कलहंसकृतावासां वरदां शारदां नुमः.
Didi, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for lighting this divine Deepak. Now I'd like to make some important announcements. Saturday, that is today evening, our Geeta Sevi program will be held in Bangla language at 7 o'clock and in English language at 8:30 o'clock. All of you are requested to join the service in maximum numbers. The program will also be held on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. in Telugu, 8 p.m. in Kannada and at 8:30 p.m. in English Hindi language. Join our Geeta Sevi and connect your life with service. And kindly share the link of today's Vivechan session with as many of your friends and loved ones as possible. Now we move towards that important stage of this program for which we all are very eagerly waiting, the relishing of the nectarian words of Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā. To immerse in this Ganga of knowledge, I respectfully and humbly invite our most respected and senior trainer Vikas ji Vaidya Bhaiya ji. Bhaiya ji is a truly multifaceted personality as he is an NRI for 12 years and has travelled the entire world. Bhaiya ji owns an IT company and is based in the city Pune. He is knowing 6 languages which include Hindi, English, Marathi, Indonesian, Malaysian and Spanish. Bhaiya ji recites all the 18 adhyayas of Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā from the past 5 years. He is a senior trainer for level 1 to level 4 involved in trainers selection and trainers training for level 1 to level 4. Bhaiya ji is involved in teaching and Vivechan of Shri Vishnu Sahasranama as a part of Geeta Pariwar Pune. He is guiding Geeta Vratis to prepare for the Geeta Jnana Yajna exam of Sringeri Sharada Peetham. Bhaiya ji has himself too given the Geeta Jnana Yajna exam and has received first prize from the divine hands of Param Pujya Jagat Guru Shankaracharya. Bhaiya ji, please come and through your divine mouth and your pleasant voice, kindly enlighten all of us with the nectarian, delightful and inspiring of the Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā.
वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं जय श्री कृष्ण. पूज्य स्वामी जी के चरण कमलों में कोटि कोटि नमन. A warm welcome to all Gita sadhaks. We are discussing Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, 18th Adhyaya Bhagavad Gita, which is a summary of all the 17th Adhyaya previously explained by Lord Krishna. Last time we were discussing about Sattva. Now this discussion will continue about the Karta. What is Sattvic Karta? Paramatma will explain Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic Karta. So Shlok 26. Mukta sango naham vadi dhrityusaha samanvitaha siddha siddhyor nirvikara karta sattvika uchyate. The performer, the karta, is said to be in the mode of goodness, karta sattvika uchyate, when he or she is free from egoism and attachment. Mukta sango anahamvadi. No ego, no attachment. And endowed with dhrityusaha samanvitaha. He is endowed with enthusiasm and determination. So such a karta is a sattvic karta and siddha siddhyo nirvikara. This is important. Siddha siddhyo nirvikara karta sattvika uchyate. Siddha siddhyo, that means equipoised in success and failure. He remains sama. Siddha siddhyo nirvikara. Whatever happens, he is nirvikara. So Sri Krishna has earlier mentioned about jnana, about karma, and about the doers are of three kinds. Having described the categories of two of them, that means knowledge and action, jnana and karma, Shri Krishna Bhagavan now moves on to the three kinds of performance of action, that means the kartas. He clarifies that those situated in the mode of goodness are not inactive. Not that they are sitting idle and then they are sattvic karta. They are not inactive. Rather, they work with enthusiasm and determination. Dhrityusaha samanvitaha. The difference is that their work is performed in proper consciousness. Sattvic doers are mukta sangha. That means they do not try to cling to the things in the worldly attachments. Nor do they believe that the worldly things can bestow satisfaction to them. Hence, they work with noble motives. That is sattvic karta. And since their intentions are pure, they are filled with utsaha, zeal, and dhruti, strong determination, strong resolve in their efforts. Their mental attitude results in the least dissipation of energies while working, because they are focused, no wastage of energy. Thus, they are able to work tirelessly to fulfill their sublime motives. Though they may accomplish great things, they are anahamvadi, free from ego, anahamvadi, and they give all credit for their success to the God. A sattvic person is in full control of his inner self and not bothered about the external world. We'll see a small story about this. He performs all actions with detached mind as a part of duty. Nishkam karma. He is detached and his all actions, karma, are in conformity with the divine will. He knows what God wants. Failures neither discourage his determination nor does the success inflate his enthusiasm. Siddha siddhyo nirvikara. Therefore, he is always above the ego consciousness. That is sattvic karta. So those who sit all day long, turning the rosary beads, japamala, saying that मैं माला जप रहा हूँ, and justify their idleness. They are sitting on an easy chair with a mala in their hand, relaxing in the relaxing chair. They say, we do this because we are sattvic, we are in sattvic disposition. Mala jap raha hu I am a sattvic person. They are in reality camouflaging the inertia. They are lazy. They don't want to do any karma, so they find it easy option to sit on an easy chair and have a jap mala in the hand and saying that I am a sattvic disposition person. A sattvic person is jealous, full of not excitement but enthusiasm. He is not actionless. He is full of enthusiasm. Moreover, his enthusiasm is coupled with patience. It's coupled with courage. And it's coupled with determination, dhrutyu. And this is a wonderful combination. You are devoted, you have patience, you have courage, and you have determination. What else you want to attain Paramatma? These four attributes are more than enough. Such a sattvic person even makes God anxious to meet him. Even God says, "Ye kaun banda hai? Dekhe to sahi." God becomes anxious to meet such a person. So a small story about this. What is easier? We go looking for the God, or we do something that the God comes and finds us. A king, he was walking on the terrace of his palace. In the evening, he was taking a walk on his terrace of the palace. Suddenly, his eyes fell on a saint Santa walking below in the marketplace. He could see it from the terrace of the palace. Now the saint or saints, whether they are in the marketplace or they are in the forest, they are lost in their own world. They are not bothered about what is going around them. They are lost in their own world. The king realized that the saint was walking in the bazaar full of joy. He is enjoying his own way, as if there was no one else except him there in the marketplace, in the bazaar. There seemed to be neither anger nor hatred towards anyone on his face. The king was so pleased with this ease and joy of the saint that he became anxious to meet him. And he wanted to meet him immediately. So he ordered his servants, "Go, bring that saint here right now, immediately." If he had himself come down from such a high palace, it was possible that the saint would have gone too far. "So I don't want to go down, you bring him here immediately," he ordered to his servants. The servants could not think of anything else, so they just threw a rope from the terrace, from the top of the palace, and dragged the saint up by trapping him in that rope. The saint was also surprised. What is happening? I am being pulled by a rope. Within a few moments, the saint was in the front of king. The king apologized to the saint for being brought up by the servants in this way. The saint simply forgave him and asked, "What is the haste? Why did you bring me like this? You got me pulled with a rope. What is the haste?" The king said, "I suddenly became so restless to find the answer to a question that I did not want to lose you, which is why you had to suffer like this. So sorry for that." The saint smiled and said, "Such anxiousness in you. You are so anxious to meet me, which means it is a rare and deep question that you have in your mind. Now tell me, what is the question? Tell me, what is the question?" The king said, "The question is how to find the God, and how to find the God soon. I feel you alone can give me a satisfying answer. Please show me the way." The saint said, "Your Majesty, you know the answer to this question very well. You are just unable to understand it. Widen your perspective and think big. You will get the answer within a moment. Think about it." The king said, "If I really knew the answer to this question, why would I have given you so much trouble? Why would I have been so much upset? I caused you so much of trouble. I would not have done that if I knew the answer. I am bewildered. I am confused. You are a saint. You know everything about the right path. Please explain me." The king, almost pleading, the saint was listening and silently, as if he had no pity for him. Saint was only listening. After keeping silence for some time, the saint then said, "Listen to the answer to your confusion now. I will give the reply to your question. Listen to it now." The saint said, "If I had the thought of meeting you, suppose I had decided that I want to meet the king, there would have been many obstacles. Is it easy to meet the king? Many obstacles, and it would have taken a long time for me to come and meet you. I would have come, informed your Sainik courtiers. They would have taken the message to you. If you had free time, perhaps we would have met. And still it was not necessary whether our meeting would have been possible or not. I could take only your darshan and say, go. The meeting would not happen probably. But when the thought of meeting me came in your mind so strongly, think how long did it take for us to meet? Few moments. A thought came to your mind, you got me pulled by a rope, and within moments I was here in front of you. So the meeting is taking place now in within a few moments only. You tried your best for me to be presented before you. The result was that you got me in front of you within a few moments." King, similarly, listen to this carefully now. He said, "King, similarly, if the Lord is anxious to find someone, then the Lord will immediately appear before him." The king instantly asked, "But how and why would the idea of meeting us would come in God's mind? Why will God think that I should meet this guy? How the idea will come in God's mind? The saint smiled and said, how did you get the idea of meeting me? The king said, when I saw that you were walking in your own tune and you were not paying any attention to the surrounding crowd, noise, market, shops, houses, humans, everything around you. So I was deeply impressed, and that I thought of meeting you immediately. The saint said, this is the only way. You know the answer. This is the only way to attain the God, dear king. In the same way, align yourself to God, being your single objective of life. Do not look at anyone else. Did I bother to look around at the crowd around me? No. My objective is simple, clear. So do not look at anyone else. Make God as your single objective in life. If you cannot live without Him, then the Lord will also become anxious to meet you, and He will come to meet you immediately. So this is a great secret the saint has given in simple words to the king, how to get the Lord in front of you. Just desire for Him. Let it the only desire of your life to meet Him. And the God will also say, ये कौन बंदा है जो मेरे पीछे पड़ा है? Let me see. He will come and meet you. Shri Krishna says, the one who is free from attachment, mukta sango, free from ego, anahamvadi, full of fortitude and enthusiasm, prithusaha samanvidaha, actions happen effortlessly through such a person. However, remember that it is not necessary that every time all actions of such a Sattvic person will be successful. He also meets failures. But when faced with failures, such a person is not dejected. That means neither does the success make him jump in joy, nor does the failure makes him distressed or dejected. Thus, such a performer of action, that means such a Karta, who stays equanimous, equipoised in success and failure, is known as Sattvic Karta, the doer in the mode of goodness. So this was Sattvic Karta. Now what is Rajasic Karta? Slok 27. Ragi karma phala prepsur lubdho hinsatmako shuchihi harsha shogan vidah karta rajasah parikirtitaha. Who is desirous of the results of action? Karma phala prepsur lubdho. He is desirous of results of action. He is desirous of karma phala, who is motivated by action and repulsion, is greedy, has the habit of causing pain to others, himsatmako, is of impure nature, ashuchihi, and affected by happiness and grief, harsha shokanvita. Such a person is Rajasic. So the attachment to the material propensity is the hallmark of a Rajasic person. He is always busy piling assets after assets and fueling his material prosperity. एक घर हो गया, दूसरा चाहिए, दूसरा हो गया, फार्म हाउस चाहिए, एक गाड़ी, दूसरी गाड़ी, मारुति हो गया, BMW, Jaguar, all that. So jealousy, flamboyance, false pride, and the tendency to inflict pain to others mark the nature of Rajasic person. His mind is not steady because of selfishness, and such a mind can never be pure. The mind full of selfishness cannot be pure, never. The concept of fairness and self-culture and refinement is not known to the Rajasic person. Gain make him jubilant and losses push him into deep depression. For example, two women. What is a Rajasic person? This example may explain what is a Rajasic person. Two women met up after a long time, and as normally friends do, they started inquiring about each other's families. How's your family? How's your family? All that. On inquiring how her sick brother was, the other started crying loudly. Oh my God, the chap is no more, you know. Oh, how much we miss him. How we despair his death. She wailed very loudly, heartbrokenly. After consoling her, the friend then inquired about lady's husband. How is your husband? Promptly, like a magic, her expressions changed, and a wide, beaming smile on her face, she replied, he is doing very well. He is doing very well. He has been promoted and things could not go better for him. She said with a great joy, with a great smile on her face. Arey bhai, a moment ago she was disconsolate and a moment later she was so cheerful. Such melodrama. Rajasic people are expert in doing such melodrama. And that is how very oscillating a Rajasic person's mind is. Similarly, another example. A young man's uncle was coming down from USA. The uncle was old. He was coming from USA to pay him a visit. Over the phone, the uncle informed his nephew that he was getting some latest gadgets, latest laptops, latest domestic robo, some designer's cloth, and an expensive watch. Now this fellow's joy knew no bounds. He was very happy. He could barely contain his excitement and said, "Uncle, you are most welcome." Finally, the uncle arrived. He had brought along all the promised gifts for his nephew, so the chap welcomed his uncle with great gusto, great enthusiasm. But soon the uncle declared that he would return to USA only after a year and wanted to spend 1 full year in India with his nephew. Well, as you can imagine, the nephew's whole world crashed on hearing this. Why this uncle is not going back like a normal guest after 8, 10, 15 days, staying here for me for a year? 1 year staying here, my God. In a flash of second, the intense joy changed into intense grief. Rajoguna. Moreover, the Rajoguni is always carrier of greed. And you cannot stay still when you are consumed by greed. You are always on the move, restlessly hankering after this and that, such that instead of eating what one has on his plate, a Rajoguni will eye what the others have on their plate, wanting what others have. We also experience this, honestly. We also experience this when we go to a restaurant for lunch or dinner. When our plates are served by the waiter, we look at the plates served on the adjoining table and think, oh, why I did not order that? This happens. If this comes to our mind, we can say, I am a Rajoguni person. This is a Rajoguni thought. So while Sattvic workers, Sattvic Kartas are motivated by the desire for spiritual growth, Rajasic Kartas are deeply ambitious for materialist enhancement. They do not realize that everything here is temporary and will have to be left behind one day. Agitated with immoderate rag, that rag means anurag, attachment to the mind and senses, they lack the purity of intention. They are convinced that pleasure seek is present in worldly things. Pleasure is only attaining material things. Hence, never satisfied by what comes their way, they are lubdha. Lubdha means greedy for more. When they see others succeeding or enjoying more than them, they become hinsatmakaha. They don't like somebody getting more joy than them. So they become hinsatmakaha, enviously bent on injury. To fulfill their ends, they sometimes sacrifice morality and hence becomes ashuchi. Ashuchi means impure. When the desires are fulfilled, they become elated, very happy. And when they are unsuccessful, they get dejected. In this way, their lives becomes harsha shoka anvitaha. That means a mixture of delight and sorrow, delight and sorrow, delight and sorrow. So this is the Rajasic Karta. Now what is Tamasic Karta? Next loka 28. Ayukta prakruta stabdha shato naishkrutiko lasaha vishadi dirgha sutri cha karta tamasa uchyate. Sri Krishna Bhagavan says, a performer, a karta in the mode of ignorance, in the mode of darkness, is one who is whimsical, unrefined, arrogant, cheat, insolent, lethargic, depressed, and lazy. My God, all negative qualities. Whimsical, unrefined, arrogant, cheat, insolent, lethargic, depressed, and lazy. Shri Krishna now gives description of Tamasic Karta. Their mind is blotted with negative obsessions. Thus they are ayukta. Ayukta means undisciplined. The scriptures give injunctions regarding what is proper and what is improper. What is your kartavya karma and what is prohibited karma. That our scriptures give injunction on that. But Tamasic Kartas are stabdha. That means they are obstinate. They are stubborn in their own views. They don't want to understand what is proper and what is improper. Because they have closed their ears and mind to the reasoning. They don't see any reasoning. Thus they are often shashta. Shashta means they cunning. Naiskritika. That means dishonest, vile in their ways. They are prakruta. Prakruta means vulgar. Because they do not believe in controlling their animal instincts. Though they may have duties to be performed, they see the efforts in performing those duties laborious and painful. And so they are alasaha. That means they are lazy. And dirghasutri, procrastinators. That means a simple, short job, they make it long and long and long and complicated for no reason. A Sattvic person will start the job, say in one day. This Tamasi fellow will take 25 days to even start the job. And when it starts, it goes at a snail speed. So these ignorable and base thoughts impact them more than anyone else. They realize that I am lagging behind too much. But instead of repairing the ways, they become vishadi, unhappy and morose. So a tamasic mind is indolence, insolence, greed, lust and listlessness. He builds castle in the air but does nothing in practical terms. हवा में किला बांधे क्या मतलब है? If you don't want to take proper action in proper time, he indulges in cheating and lies. A tamasic person is self-destructive and threat to others. Śrīmad-Bhagavad also describes types of performance of actions. Bhagavad also explains this. Satvika karako sangi rangando rajasa spritaha tamasa spriti vibhranshto nirguna apashrayah. A worker who is detached is sattvic in nature. The one who is excessively attached to actions and its results is rajasic. One who is devoid of discrimination is tamasic. But the karta who is surrendered to me is transcendental of the all three modes. He has become gunatit. So we must understand in very clearly that whenever you look for excuses to be unhappy, excuses to be miserable or morose, then you know that that is a sign of excessive tamasic guna in you at that moment. It is not that tamasic beings will always remain tamasic for the whole of their life. The tamoguna, like the other two gunas, sattva and rajo, keeps fluctuating, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. But he who is prone to excessive tamoguna is said to be tamoguni. Predominantly, he is a tamoguni. Procrastination, that means dragging on the things, is another attribute Sri Krishna explains, describes in tamoguni people. They keep dilly-dallying and an inordinate long time to accomplish any action. As I said, the task may be same, but a sattvaguni person will carry out the task prudently and dexterously. A rajoguni, on the other hand, will perform the task in a haste and hence finishes the work in a hurry and rather carelessly sometimes. But a tamoguni person is lazy and hence will go on putting off. आज करे सो कल करे सो परसों, इतनी भी क्या जल्दी है, जीना है बरसों. That is his logic. So keep delaying, and even when he finally starts the task, it is done at a very, very slow speed. So this is tamasic karta. So to recapitulate, enumerating the traits of tamoguni person, Shri Krishna says, those who are conceited, uncouth, envious, harmful to others, prone to moroseness, lethargy, and procrastination, such people are said to be tamasic kartas. Now buddhi and dhruti. Paramatma will explain three types of this also. Shlok 29. Buddhir vedandataschaiva gunadastrividam shunu prochyamanam asheshena pratatvena dhananjayo. Shruno. Hear now, Arjuna, hear from me of the distinctions of intellect, buddhi, and distinctions of determination, resolve, strong resolve, dhruti, according to the three modes of prakriti, material nature, that means satparajatamo. I describe them in detail. Prochamano or Sheshyana. I will not give anything balance. I will explain to you in details. So it has already been explained by Shri Krishna that the egolessness, firmness, and detachment. Egolessness, firmness, and detachment are the essentials of a Sattvic reality. No experience or action in Sattvic without these is possible. Intellect is the main power at the disposal of every human being. That is an asset given to us by the Lord. And this guides us on a proper path. To follow it till the end is the rule of dhruti. बुद्धि के दिमाग में एक विचार आता है, but how to follow it up till it meets up the ultimate objective? That is the job of dhruti, the resolve, the determination. This firmness is also of three kinds: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Human mind always oscillates, but a firm intellect, that means which is having dhrutya as well as buddhi, is very useful for success in spiritual life. You should have buddhi and should have that dhrutya also. Intellect is also of three kinds: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Buddhi and dhruti, these two factors impact the quality and quantity of work that we perform in our life. They not only propel karma, but also control and direct it. Buddhi is the faculty of discrimination, viveka, that distinguishes between right and wrong. Dhruti is the inner determination to persist in accomplishing the karma undertaken despite hardships and obstacles on the way. So determination is equally important. Shri Krishna is therefore now volunteering to explain these virtues in details, buddhi and dhruti. What's the buddhi? Slok 30. Pravrittincha nivrittincha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham mokshancha ya vetti buddhissa partha sattviki. The intellect, the buddhi, is said to be in the mode of goodness. That buddhi is considered to be sattvic, partha, when it understands what is proper and what is improper action. प्रवृत्तिंच निवृत्तिंच, किसमें लगे रहना है और किसमें से विड्रॉ करना है, प्रवृत्ति एंड निवृत्ति. What is duty and what is non-duty, karya and akarya. Bhaya bhaye, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared. And what is binding, bandha, and what is liberation. Which action will put me in bondage, which action will get me to the moksha, to the salvation, to the liberation. The buddhi that understands this is a sattvic buddhi. So you see, we constantly exercise our free will to make choices in our life. And our cumulative choices determine where we reach in our life. Since childhood, we make different choices for different things in our life. And at the end of life, where we reach, it depends on the choices that we have made throughout our life. Robert Frost has very vividly described this in his poem, The Road Not Taken. The Road Not Taken. He says, I shall be telling with a sigh. I shall be telling with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. So this poem explains that the road we take, it determines where we reach. The choices we make, it determines where we reach in our life. So to make right choices, we need a developed faculty of discrimination, viveka buddhi. The Bhagavad-Gītā itself was spoken to Arjuna to equip him with the power of discrimination, what is right and what is wrong. At the outset, Arjuna was confused about his duty. His inordinate attachment to his relatives had clouded his judgment regarding proper and improper action. He thought by killing them, I'll be incurring sin, while the reality was reverse of it. By running away from battlefield could be a sinful act. Feeling weak and fearful and in utter confusion, Arjuna had surrendered to Lord and requested him to enlighten him about this duty. What is my duty? Through the divine song of wisdom, Bhagavad-Gītā, Lord Krishna helped Arjuna develop his power of discrimination. Until Sri Krishna finally concluded in this adhyaya only, in slok number 63, which we will see after a few days, Iti te jnanam akhyatang guhyat guhyataram maya vimrushayitadasheshena yathechasi tata kuru. I have explained to you the knowledge that is more secret than all secrets. Guhyat guhyataram. Ponder over it deeply. Vimrushayitadasheshena and yathechasi tata kuru. And then do as you wish. Freedom is yours. Even then, Paramatma says to Arjuna, freedom to act is yours. I have done my job telling you the Gita. No, whether to act on it or not is your choice. So the mode of goodness, it illuminates the intellect with its light of knowledge, thereby refining its ability to discriminate between the right and wrong of the things, right and wrong of the actions, and right and wrong of the sentiments. The Sattvic intellect enables us to know which actions are proper and which are to be avoided. So let us know. It also lets us know. The Sattvic Buddhi also lets us know what to fear for and what to ignore. It explains to us the reasons for the shortcomings in our personality and also reveals the solution for them. So you see, the Sattvic Buddhi, it always follows the path of nivritti, not pravritti. What is the difference between pravritti and nivritti? Nivritti is the path of creative and spiritual orientation and actions. Pravritti is the path of material enjoyment and material progress. So, Sattvic person, he withdraws from this pravritti and he gets engaged himself in nivritti. Fear and blurred judgment are the marks of a selfish mind, because such a mind is motivated and apprehensively calculative. Sattvic intelligence, being sharp, shining, and knowledge-based, is bold and faultless, always aiming at good and creative things. People having this discriminative power are most successful even in everyday life. People having Sattvic intelligence can make quicker progress on the spiritual path as well. Right action is that which is in accordance with the scriptures, in accordance with Bhagavad-Gītā, and in accordance with the Guru Upadesha. Wrong action is that which is opposed to this principle. So this is the Sattvic Buddhi. Now what is Rajasic Buddhi? Slok 31. Yaya dharmam dharmancho karyancha karyamevacho ayathavat prajanati buddhissa partha rajasi. The intellect is considered in the mode of passion, that means Rajasic Buddhi, when it is confused between righteousness, dharma, and unrighteousness, adharma. When it cannot distinguish between worthy, right, and unworthy, wrong actions. That Buddhi is Rajasic. So dharma is that path which conforms to our elite scriptures, our shrutis. Our elite scriptures are shrutis. And the adharma is opposed to shruti, because shruti is always based on truth and fairness. It is for the highest good of all because it is based on the principle of equanimity. The so-called better placed people always believe that they act in accordance with the dharma. मैं बहुत धार्मिक प्रवृत्ति का आदमी हूं. I am following dharma. They perform worthy acts and think their material well-being or the worldly prosperity as a proof of their conviction. देखो मेरे पास 4 घर है, 2-3 गाड़ियां हैं. I have followed dharma. So they misunderstand that accumulating material wealth is a proof that they are dharmic. But such people are often unaware of the Sattvic principle, which has very little to do with the material measures of the worldly well-beings. The funny part is that even Kauravas believed that they were performing a worthy act of fighting the war against Pandavas. And they believed that it is in conformation with the diktats of dharma. They are following dharma. Of course, they had own reasons. They were complaining that why our father Dhritarashtra was not given the throne in the right place, right time. Why Pandu was given. So they had their own grievances. Sattvic dharma is subtle, and the material ego always fails to grasp this subtlety. The Rajasic mind is always based on ambition and desire, which is in contrast with the Sattvic dharma. Doing duty honestly is right. Dodging duty or doing it dishonestly is not. The Rajasic approach is always aimed at personal gain or personal glory. So the Rajasic intellect, it becomes mixed due to personal attachments. At times, it sees clearly what is right and what is wrong. But when the self-interest comes into play, it becomes tainted and confused. They ignore what is right and what is wrong when the self-interest comes into picture. For example, there are people who are always very, very competent in their profession. Say IT people, very competent in profession, but very childish when it comes to family relationships. They succeed on the career front, but fail miserably on this front because of their attachment to their career. And this attachment prevents them from proper perception and proper conduct. The Rajasic intellect, colored by attachment and aversions, likes and dislikes, is unable to make out the proper course of action. It becomes confused between the important and trivial. What is important they consider trivial, and what is trivial they consider very important. It becomes confused within them. It gets confused in the permanent and transient things, the valuable and the worthless things. So that is Rajasic Buddhi. Now what is Tamasic Buddhi? Slok 32. Adharman dharma mitya manyate tamasavrata sarvarthan viparitanshcha buddhissa partha tamasi. That intellect which is shrouded in darkness, imagining irreligion, adharma, to be religion, dharma. What is adharma? They say no, this is dharma. And what is dharma? They say no, this is adharma. And perceiving truth to be untruth is of the nature of ignorance. That is Tamasic Buddhi. So the Tamasic intellect is without the elimination of sublime knowledge, ajnana, ignorance. Hence, it misconstitutes adharma to be dharma. For example, a drunk is attached to the intoxication that alcohol provides. Hence, his poor intellect, covered with fog of darkness, ajnana, cannot even perceive the sheer ruin that brings on himself by this action. So much so that he does not even mind selling his valuables to get his next bottle. In the Tamasic intellect, the faculty of judgment and the ability for logical reasoning are lost. So the Tamasic psychology is most often rooted in wrong and perverted ways. A Tamasic person indulges in actions which are cause of pain and grief to others as well as to himself, as he misunderstands the truth to be false and false to be truth, vice versa. His approach to life is based on falsehood, which lands him in a vicious circle of self-destruction. So Tamasic person, he is doing the action which will destroy himself ultimately. So these were three buddhis, Sattva, Raja, Tamo. Now what is Dhruti? Sattvic Dhruti. Slok 33. Dhrutya yaya dharayate manah pranendriya kriyaha yogena vyabhicharinya dhrutissa partha sattviki. That steadfast willpower, dhruti, strong resolve, that is developed through yoga and which sustains the activities of mind, the prana, that means the life air, and the senses. Partha is said to be the determination, dhruti, in the mode of goodness. That is Sattvic Dhruti. Dhruti, that means determination, is the inner strength of our mind and intellect to move on the path with tenacity, with strong resolve, despite difficulties and obstacles. Dhruti is what keeps our vision focused towards our objective, towards our goal, and mobilizes the latent hidden power that we have in our body, mind, and senses and intellect to overcome apparently the insurmountable impasses on the journey to get that objective of life. Without dhruti, it is not possible to cross those obstacles. Shri Krishna now moves on to describe the three kinds of determination, three kinds of dhruti. Through the practice of yoga, the mind becomes disciplined and develops the capacity to rule over the senses and body. The steadfast willpower, the dhruti that develops when one learns to subdue the senses, discipline the prana, life air, and control the mind, is Sattvic dhruti. Determination in the mode of goodness. Yoga is extremely important as it leads to equanimity of mind, which is master achievement. Equanimity of mind is a master achievement. Samatma yoga uchyate. One who has followed this principle, he is a yogi himself. In second adhyaya, Krishna said this, Samatma yoga uchyate. So there may be various techniques of yoga, but the most effective is the pranayam. Pranayam makes your mind purified and your body also purified. Such a wonderful technique, simple technique, which when done correctly can control and regulate the mind and senses as well. For ideal culturing of the intellect, its cultivation through firmness is necessary. So buddhi has to be paired with dhruti, then only it will be of any meaningful karma that you can carry on. It is in the state of such firmness that the intellect becomes sattvic. So to make your intellect sattvic, you definitely need the assistance of sattvic dhruti. Various other forms of sadhanas also help in achieving this objective of attaining that sattvic dhruti, other than this pranayam and other yoga. Now what is Rajasic dhruti? Shlok 34. Yayad dharma kamarthan dhrutya dharayate arjuna prasangena phala kankshi dhrutessa partha rajasi. The steadfast willpower, firmness, resolve, dhruti, by which one holds on to his duty, pleasures, and wealth out of attachment and desire for rewards, Arjuna, is the determination in the mode of passion. That is Rajasic dhruti. The crux of Rajasic dhruti being that it is devoid of the desire for moksha. It is devoid of the desire for moksha and is always glued to the causes of material prosperity. That is Rajasic dhruti. Worldly recognition and ego-inflated publicity. The people of Rajasic firmness for worldly gains and possessions undertake religious and social programs also sometimes and ceremonies. The theme of Rajasic firmness is excessive accumulation, personal glorification, and enjoyment. That is the main objective of their life. Whatever karma they perform, objective is this only. The determination, the firmness is not found exclusively in yogis only. Worldly minded people are also staunchly fanned by their desire to delight in the fruits of their efforts. That is also dhruti. That is also determination to get cling to your karma phala. They are focused on enjoying sensual pleasures, acquiring wealth, and accumulating other materialistic rewards. And since money is the means for acquiring this, such people cling to money in their whole life. Shri Krishna says that determination fueled by the desire for enjoying rewards is in the mode of passion. That is Rajasic dhruti. Now what is Tamasic dhruti? Slok 35. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madame vacho na vimunchati durmedha pratessa partha tamasi. The intellect, resolve, rather the unintelligent resolve is said to be in the determination, that is the mode of ignorance. Unintelligent resolve. You have resolve, but that is not a very good resolve. It is unintelligent. Arjuna, in which one does not give up the dreaming It does not give the dreaming, fearing, grieving, despair and conceit. Swapnam, bhayam, shukam, vishadam. So determination is seen in unintelligent and ignorant people also. They are also quite determined in what they want to achieve in life. Of course, it is misguided, but it is stubbornness that arises from fear, from despair, and from pride, false pride. For instance, some people are victims of a fear complex. And it is interesting to note how they hold on to this fear complex with great tenacity. You don't feel bad about this, as if it is inseparable part of their personality. There are others who make their life a living hell because they cling to some past disappointment and refuse to let it go, despite observing its very ruinous impact on their life. It is ruining their life, but they don't want to let it go. They keep clinging to their past misfortune, disappointments. Some insist upon quarreling with all who hurt their ego and its imagined conception, a misconception of themselves. Sri Krishna states that determination based on such stubborn clinging to the unproductive thoughts. Kya milne wala hai? You go in the past and think about the disappointment that you got in the past. Is it going to change your future? Is it going to change your present? So Sri Krishna states that the determination based on such stubborn clinging to unproductive thoughts is in the mode of ignorance. That is Tamasic Dhruti. So Paramatma has explained to us Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic Dhruti. Now, Sukha, happiness, is also of three types. It is introduced in Slok 36 now. Sugandvidanim trividam shrunume bharadarshabho abhyasadramate yatra Tokkhaintainjani gacchati. Bharata, choice of Bharatas, that means Arjuna. Now hear from me, Shrunume, hear from me the threefold happiness. Sukham Tvidanim Trividam. The happiness which is acquired through long practice gives deep joy and entails end of sorrows. In previous sloka, Shri Krishna discussed the constituents of action. We learned 5 constituents of action. Adhishtananta, Karta, Karanancha Pradagvidam, Vivedascha Pradakcheshta, Daivai Chaivatra Panchamam. Then he described the factors that motivate, control the actions. Jnanandneyam Parignata, Trivida Karma Chodana, Karanam Karma Karteti, Trivida Karma Sangraha. This also we learned. Now Shri Krishna moves on to the goal of action. What is the goal of action? The ultimate motive behind people's action is the search for happiness. Everybody is looking for happiness. Everyone desires to be happy. No one wants to be unhappy. And through their actions, they seek fulfillment, they seek peace and satisfaction. But since everyone's actions differ in their constituent factors, Adhishthana tatha karneja pratagvidam, these constituents are different. Jnanandhyam paridnata trivida kramajana, all these factors are different for everyone. The kinds of happiness they derive out of their work is also different. The constituents of your action are different, then the result of action is also different. Shri Krishna now goes on to explain the 3 categories of happiness. Oh, happiness can also be of 3 types. In life, everybody experiences momentary happiness. This type of happiness is instinctive. Any pleasant experience causes this feeling, and any unwelcome experience causes revulsion or unhappiness. This everybody knows. But the lasting happiness, which also entails loss of sorrows and grief, is an altogether different experience. Lasting happiness. It is a great feeling indeed. It comes through long spiritual practice and then it lasts forever. It is a great treasure of unique happiness. It is so different from usual feeling of everyday life, which worldly incidents and events they can cause. So the worldly happiness is temporary, transient. It comes and goes. The happiness which we earn through spiritual sadhana is permanent. How is that? Paramatma will explain in Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic in all these three facets. Sattvic. Sloka 37. Yattadagre vishamiva pariname mritopamam tat sukham sattvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadayam. This sukh is Sattvic sukh. Which sukh? That which seems like seems like poison at first. Yattadagre vishamiva. Agre vishamiva. Agre means in the beginning it appears like poison, but tastes like nectar in the end. Pariname amrutopamam. So in the end, you realize that it was not vish, it was not poison, it is amrut. That happiness is said to be in the mode of goodness. It is generated by pure intellect that is situated in the self-knowledge, Atma-jnana. The Indian, that gooseberry, that is avla, everybody knows what is avla, is one of those superfoods that are very beneficial for health. Amla mein vitamin C hai, a lot of things we know about thanks to WhatsApp. It has vitamin C of more than 10 oranges. That is what they say. But children dislike this amla because it has a bitter taste. Parents in the North India encourage their children to eat it. Amla khao, amla khao, amla khao. Saying, आमले का खाया और बड़ों का कहा बाद में पता चलता है. आमले का खाया और बड़ों का कहा बाद में पता चलता है. The benefits of these eating of amla and advice of the elders are experienced in future at a later stage. In the beginning, you may not like it. Interestingly, after eating amla, in just a couple of minutes, the bitterness disappears and it starts tasting sweet. And the long-term benefits of consuming vitamin C are undoubtedly numerous. In this shloka, Shri Krishna says that happiness in the mode of goodness, that means Sattvic Sukh, is of the same nature like avla. It seems bitter in the short term, but tastes like nectar in the end. The Vedas refer to the happiness in the mode of goodness as Shreya. Shreya is Sattvic happiness, which is unpleasant in the present but ultimately beneficial. Yattadagre vishma pariname amritopamam. In contrast to prayer, which is pleasant in the beginning but ultimately harmful. On Shreya and prayer, Upanishads say that these are the two paths, Shreya and prayer. One is beneficial and the other is pleasant. Difference between beneficial and pleasant. These two human beings have different ends. The pleasant is enjoyable in the beginning but ends in pain. The ignorant are trapped to the pleasant and then they perish. But the wise are not deceived by its attractions. They choose the beneficial and finally attain the ultimate happiness. So Shreya and Priya. Thus the Sattvic happiness is like poison in the beginning because the rigor, the hard efforts involved in attaining that spiritual realization is very high. Those of you who have started attending Geeta classes, you remember when you first attend L1, 12th and 15th Adhyay, when all your friends, all your colleagues were enjoying either the afternoon nap or evening walk somewhere or morning walk somewhere or watching TV serials, they were enjoying their life. This is what you thought, and you were spending time in Geeta. You thought, what is boring, very boring here. They are enjoying. I am sitting here in Geeta class, listening to Vivachan also. So, Vishamiva, in the beginning Vishamiva, but now you realize what ultimate happiness we have got after you started learning Geeta. Pariname amritopamam. So this sukh, now what you are having is Sattvic sukh. As I said, this Sattvic happiness is like poison in the beginning because of the hard efforts involved in attaining that spiritual realization is very high. But once it has been attained, it is an investment lasting beyond death. Beyond death. This investment what we are making in Bhagavad Gita is going to help us beyond death. Because it is not subject to any time frame. It is kalatit. This happiness is kalatit. This lasting and unique happiness is the reward of spiritual efforts, which involves cultivation and elevation of prana, mind and senses to the spiritual level. We have learned about prana in Adhyaya 8. How to do pranayam at the end of our life, we have learned the technique in Adhyaya 8. But the limitation prayers cannot fetch it. If you try to imitate somebody, imitation cannot fetch it. It exists in the core of heart. This message has been given by Lord Krishna in earlier Adhyayas also. In second Adhyaya, 64 sloka, Paramatma says, Ragadvesha viyuktaistu vishayanendriyaischaran atmavashyar vidayyatma prasadamadi gacchati. You get at God's grace prasad. And in slok 21 of 5th Adhyaya, Bahyasparsheshva saktatma vindatyatmani yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayamashnute. So this matter has been discussed by Lord Krishna previously also, and since 18th Adhyaya is a summary of all earlier Adhyayas, Paramatma is again reminding us about this. Okay, slok 38. What is Rajasic Sukha? Vishendriya sanyogat yattagre mutopamam pariname vishamiva tatsukam radasam srutam. Happiness is said to be in the mode of passion, that is Rajasic Sukha, when it is derived from the contact of senses with the sense objects. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Sagandha. When your senses meet the sense objects and you get happiness out of it, that is Rajasic Sukha. Such happiness is like nectar in the beginning, but poison in the end. Opposite of Sattvic. It is like nectar in the beginning and poison in the end. Rajasic happiness is experienced as a thrill that arises from the contact between sense and sense objects. You see something, you like it, whether it is good for you or bad for you, that is not the point of discussion. You get happiness out of it, ultimately it turns out to be a bad thing for you. So it becomes you're listening to some good thing which you feel is good, satisfying to your mind, but it ends. The message doesn't remain permanent. It leaves in its wake greed, anxiety, guilt, and a thickening of the material illusion. Even in the material world, for meaningful accomplishment, it is necessary to reject Rajasic happiness as a reminder to steer him away from immediate but misleading joys. Temporary joys one has to avoid even in material field. One of our prime ministers, he used to keep these lines on his desk from the poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. The poem's few lines of poems are like this. The woods are lovely, dark and deep. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. So the path to lasting and divine bliss lies not in indulgence, but in renunciation, in austerities, and in discipline. We must know that all forms of happiness, which is based on senses, are of temporary nature. After the first immediate contact between sense and their respective sense objects, the result may cause happiness, but afterwards it causes pain and sorrow. Young people may not easily agree with this conclusion. The reason for that is because they have the vigor of youth, and secondly, they are ignorant of the spirit generated or the soul caused happiness. They have not understood what is soul happiness and what is the soul caused happiness, which is the real nectar. So they have not tested the real nectar. They don't know even what is real nectar. They think getting involved in material enjoyment is the nectar. That is what they feel amrut. Before which the sense born happiness area, for them it's a mere triviality. In 5th Adhyaya and also in 4th Adhyaya, Paramatma has explained this very well. In 5th Adhyaya, Shloka 22nd, Paramatma said, Ye hi sansparshaja bhoga dukkhayo na ye evate Adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramati buddha. Something which starts and it ends. Adyantavantah. Nateshu ramati buddha. The many people don't get involved in this kind of temporary things. And in fourth adhyaya, Paramatma said, Karmanasya krutasya hus sattvikam nirmalam phalam Rajasasthu phalam dukkham ajnanantamasa phalam. Okay, continue further. What is Tattama Samudaratam? Shlok 39. Yadagre cha anubandhe cha sukham mohanamatmanaha nidralasya paramadottan tattama samudaratam. That is tamasic. That is tamasic. What is tamasic? That happiness which covers the nature of the self from beginning to the end. It doesn't want to get bothered about self, soul, and which is derived from sleep, nidra, laziness, alasya, and negligence, ajnan, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. People get happy in ignorance. Ignorance is bliss. That is what they say. But that bliss is tamasi sukh. The tamasic is of the lowest kind and is foolishness from beginning to end. Is full of foolishness. This tamasic sukh is full of foolishness from beginning to end. It throws the soul in the darkness of ignorance. It doesn't think about soul at all. And yet, since there is a tiny experience of pleasure in it, people get addicted to that. That is why cigarette smokers find it difficult to break their habit. They think this is happiness. Smoking cigarette is happiness. Even while knowing that it is very harmful to them, it may even cause cancer. But even then, they don't want to leave it. Same is the cause and same is the case with the drug addicts. They are unable to reject the happiness they get from that addiction. But that sukh is tamasic sukh. What happens in sleep or alcohol or drug induces unconsciousness? The person forgets himself, isn't it? Not only is he aware of his pure self, but he also forgets his senses of self that is linked to the body, mind and intellect. He forgets about sense and about his mind, body, intellect also. So he becomes totally unaware of his existence. That is the unconsciousness inflicted upon you by the sleep, by the alcohol or by the drugs. And when he derives great pleasure in doing so, such that he is willing to commit any immoral or evil act to procure the drugs or alcohol, or some even kill in order to get the drugs. We read this in newspaper day in and day out. So that is tamasic sukh. Tamasic pleasure is such that it makes the person forget his self, both during sensory interaction, also in the aftermath of that interaction. And a tamasic person, that is he whose antakaran is tamasic, whose karmas are tamasic, such a person derives pleasure from sleep, laziness, heedlessness, and irresponsibility. And that is known as tamasic pleasure. People get pleasure in avoiding their duty and they feel happy about it. That is tamasic pleasure. Sri Krishna states that such pleasures derived from sleep, laziness, and negligence are in the mode of ignorance. That is tamasic happiness, tamasi sukh. Last talk of today. Na dadasti prithivyam va divi deveshu va punaha sattvam prakrutijair muktai kidevisyatribhir gunaihi. Paramatma says these three gunas, sattva, raja, tamo, they dictate the behavior of all human beings. And the scope is not limited only to earth, but Paramatma says no living being on the earth or the highest celestial abodes, Swargaloka also, of this material world is free from the influence of these three modes of nature. Nadadasya pratim vama divi, divi means up there in the celestial abode. Nadadasya pratim vama divi deveshu va punaha satpam pravijair muktai yadai visyatribhir gunai. Nobody is free from these three gunas. The three gunas of Prakriti are all pervasive and universal. They cover every living being on the earth and the devatas in the heaven also. These three gunas, Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamasic, can only be overcome by successfully realizing the soul. If you want to become Gunatit, you have to have Atmadyan, you have to successfully realize your soul. Short of that, No being can hope to be free from the shackles of these three gunas of Prakriti. These three gunas are present in all of us, like the butter in the milk, or the fire in the wood, or the breath in all beings. There is no escape from them, because the entire nature is made of these three gunas only, Sattva, Rajatamo. Whether we walk on earth or we are in the heaven, only Nishkam karma performed through Sattvic intellect, acquired through Sattvic dhruti, firmness, lead a being to the state of Nirguna. Our objective in life should become Nirguna. Because even Sattvic puts us under bondage. We discussed this many times. For explanation, you can read again Adhyay 14, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Sattva, Rajatamo, three gunas, all the three gunas, they put you under bondage. The objective of reading Gita is to become Nirguna, to go Gunatit, to become Gunatit. Upanishad states that the material energy, Maya, is also tricolored. It says material has three colors, white, red and black. That is, it has three modes. Sattva, Rajatamo. It is the mother-like womb of innumerable living beings within the universe. It is through into existence and supported by the one unborn Lord, Paramatma.
Jai Shri Krishna to all the dear sadhaks. We will be soon starting our question answer session. Bhaiya ji, we will start with question answer session.
Okay, before we start question answer session, as someone has rightly said, The explanation is not yet complete because of some audio issue here and there. So we were discussing that Paramatma, he independently enjoys the pleasure of his transcendental leelas. But the living entity enjoys her and the material world and thus becomes bounded by the Maya of Paramatma. Maya's domain extends from Patal to the celestial abode, that means to the Svargaloka of Brahma, Svargaloka. Since the three modes of nature, that is Sattva, Rajo and Tamo, are inherent attributes of the Maya, they exist in all the material abodes of existence. So whether it is Patal, whether it is Prithvi, or whether it is Svargaloka, everywhere these three gunas are present. They all come under Prakriti only. Hence, all the living beings on these abodes, whether human beings or devtas, celestial gods, they are under these three gunas of Prakriti. The residents of Patal have a predominant of Tamo guna. The residents of earth have a predominance of Rajo guna. And the residents of celestial abodes, Svargaloka, have a predominance of Sattva. But these three gunas are present everywhere, whether it is Patal, earth or Svarga. See, who does not like sleeping? Everybody wants to sleep, no? Particularly when it is winter, everybody wants to sleep. So it is a cold winter, night has fallen, you are enjoying the sleep, but suddenly the alarm sounds, asking you to wake up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock when you want to sit for your meditation. Wake up, take bath and sit for your spiritual sadhana. That is what the alarm says. You get very unhappy with the poor clock for sounding the alarm when you are in deep sleep. So a seeker has to face this fight every day, wherein he has to overcome his inertia, shrug off his laziness, which comes out of Tamasic guna, and not given to the temptation of sleeping again and again. So he has to fight with this Tamasic guna day in and day out. Likewise, the tongue is always seeking its favorite delicacy. Whether the host is serving food that you like the most, you go for lunch or dinner, and the host is serving the food which you like the most. And you suddenly remember that you have fast today, you cannot eat. Either hot jalebi is serving, but you cannot eat because you are fasting today. There begins the dilemma. What to do? The tongue says, I want to eat. And the heart says, no, you are having fasting today. Intellect says, no, you cannot. You are fasting today, you cannot. But the tongue says, no, I want to eat. The intellect says, no, you cannot eat. And with much deliberation, the fellow strikes a compromise. And then he says to the host, sorry, I cannot eat it today, but keep it aside. Keep it aside for me. I will take it tomorrow. So make a parcel for me. The quantum of Rajoguna, if it has increased too much, then the fellow will mentally say to the God, see how we keep convincing ourselves for doing wrong things also. He will convince to the God, he will try to communicate with the God mentally, saying that, oh Lord, how can I hurt my host's sentiments? When he is so lovingly offering me this hot, sweet jalebis in pure ghee. And I'm sure it is you, O beloved Krishna, who has sent this host to me. And furthermore, it is you who has said, Sarvasya Amritasya Vishnu. You are sitting in his heart also, no? So by insulting him, I'm insulting you. So why should I insult the God sitting in him? Thus I respect your words and I will eat these jalebis because I don't want to insult you. This is how we convince ourselves. As far as fast is concerned, oh, never mind, I will do it some other day. Don't worry, Krishna, I will do the fast some other day. Sri Krishna says, no one can evade the influence of Prakriti born these three gunas. For they are present in all beings. But how to keep them in balance? Now that is certainly in your hands. It is up to you whether you want to be Sattvic, whether you want to be Rajasic, or you want to be Tamasic. But is it easy? Because the Tamoguna prone individual who has been born in Tamasic environment to Tamasic parents, how will he suddenly get the virtues of Sattva-guna in him? His surrounding is Tamasic. He has been groomed in Tamasic atmosphere. His parents are Tamasic. So how can he suddenly start cultivating Sattva-guna in him? And consequently, how will the Sattvic samskar ever get awakened in him? Same is true for Rajoguna born individuals. But sometimes some Sattvic born, some children born to some Sattvic parents, they grow up with virtuous attributes. Bhakta Prahlad is a classic example. He was born to Tamasic parents, Hiranyakashipu, but grew as a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. See, Gunas cannot exploit a man of wisdom. If a man has already attained wisdom, then these Gunas cannot do any harm to him. That's why Jnana is important. If we obtain that Jnana, we achieve that Jnana through Bhagavad Gita, then these three Gunas can do no harm to us. Rather, it is he who utilizes the Gunas very astutely. Kabir has said at one place that Maya that eludes the entire world, that very Maya lies in the service of a Jnani. That Maya becomes a servant of Jnani, of a sage. This means that a sage is able to make the most of Maya. We get entangled in that Maya, while a sage uses that Maya to attain his objective of attaining Paramatma. He can pierce through that Maya to attain Paramatma, because he utilizes very prudently to his advantage. Maya is no longer able to delude a Jnani anymore. If we have got that Atma Jnana, then this Maya can do no harm to us. We can pierce through that Maya and attain the Paramatma. But for that, we have to become Gunatit, get rid of Sat Parajatamo. That is the conclusion of this slokas, what we have discussed today. Now the forum is open for you to raise your questions.
Bhaiyaji, we are infinitely and immensely grateful to you for your time and for enlightening us with this insightful wisdom of Śrīmad-Bhagavadgītā. Now let's progress to the question answer session, wherein all you sadhaks can present your queries by raising your hand through the raise hand button, and you can get the answers to them. We shall start with Bhupinder Gupta Bhaiyaji. Please unmute.
जय श्री कृष्ण सर, जय श्री कृष्ण।
जय श्री कृष्ण।
ये ऐसा ना, जैसे हर जीव में जीवात्मा है
जी,
ठीक है, परंतु जैसे कोई क्लोनिंग से पैदा हो रहे हैं आजकल, जैसे कुछ जीव क्लोनिंग से पैदा किए हैं, तो उनमें भी जीवात्मा है, और वही जीवात्मा है कि मतलब उनका कर्म अलग है, क्या है इसका मतलब, इसको में प्रकाश डालिए।
I got your point. I got your question. Even if it is a clone, it is moving his hands and legs, isn't it?
जी,
It is normal life, like others live. And unless that body has a jiva in it, a life force in it,
जी,
it cannot function the body karmas. So even if it is clone, it has a jiva in it. But now, that jiva which has entered into that clone, it has entered into that clone because of his past karmas. His karmas did not allow him to get the original body. His karmas forced him to take that clone body only, a duplicated body. That is the result of his past karmas.
अच्छा, नाइस, ठीक, जी, जी।
Yeah. Any other questions?
Please do raise your hands, those who have any queries to ask. I hope there are no more queries.
I see the attendance is very low today because there are some other programs also going on. Never mind. If you have any questions, you can reserve it for the next session. You can ask about this sloka or the entire Bhagavad Gita in any of the sessions. You are free to raise your questions anytime in any session. But if there are no questions in this session, we can wind up.
Ji, Bhaiya ji, there is one more question from Abhay Desai Bhaiya ji.
Okay.
Bhaiya ji, can you please unmute and ask your question?
Yeah, hello. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
These three gunas,
Yeah.
is it right to assume or say that, it is heredited? Like, if my parents are, they were Sattvic, then I become Sattvic. I mean, predominantly.
Yes.
And if my parents were not Sattvic, they were Rajasic in nature, then I become so, predominantly. That variation will keep on happening is a fact of life. But
Definitely.
predominantly, do I get one of these predominant gunas from my parents? Is that the way to look at
Of
it?
course, see, we are of what our parents have their genes, and we are made of genes from our parents. So the genes of our parents definitely control our behavior. But at the same time, whatever our past karmas in the previous lives, we don't know how many lives we have lived so far. Those also build up pile of samskars in us. So if you are attending Bhagavad Gita class or if you are reading Bhagavad Gita every day, it is a result of your past samskars as well.
Okay.
Unless the sanskars are teaching you to attend this class, a person in your place who is Rajasic or Tamasic, you will attend maybe for a day under force, but next day you will give it up, saying that, sorry, it is not my food of thought. I want to leave it. But a person who is consistently attending, that means he is driven by his past samskars or the teachings from his parents. In my case, I can tell you, my father used to recite Bhagavad Gita right when he got retirement at the age of 60. He passed away at the age of 88, and daily he used to read Gita. And we used to hear Gita when we were children. We used to hear, and then it came to our ears that my father is reading Gita every day from 60 to 88, 28 years he read Gita every day, and he used to tell us. So those sanskars are built in. We want to give the same sanskars to our children, however materially progressive they may be. But unless we inculcate this kind of sanskars in the next generation, how can we do good for them? Isn't it?
Now,
So whatever,
the next, sorry, Dada, please.
yeah.
The next question, in continuation to the same question, is if there are two brothers
Yeah.
of the same parents, one becomes, say, a Rajasi and the other becomes Tamasi or something like that. So that happens due to what? If, these gunas are coming from the parent, why this deviation or separate, approach?
Gunas are not coming from the parents. Only the genes are coming from the parents. The gunas are coming from our past samskars. Even if they are brothers, in the previous life, they were not brothers. Or they may be living in different families or under different circumstances. So their samskars are different. Even if they are in the same family, their sanskars could be different. Husband and wife living under the same roof, they have different nature. Do they have the same sanskar? No. So even if brothers are there, they have their own independent life governed by their own samskars.
Okay.
One may be having very peaceful person, one may be very angry person, because his samskars dictate his behavior. He has a chance to rectify his samskars in this life. Provided he understands that this is the chance to rectify my faults of previous lives. If he understands this and he takes it as a means to repair whatever damage has been done in his past lives, then he can repair his earlier record also.
Okay. Which in short, this realization or this understanding is likely to come when you read and follow, let us say, Gita.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why you live in the company of good people and you read Gita, at least do some contemplation that Krishna has said this, so this must be true. This was the first Shraddha, confidence you should have. That you will not use any questions against Krishna's message. Why Krishna said this? Why Krishna is not talking this? So those people cannot understand much of Gita. You have to firmly have belief in Krishna's every word. Then only you can rectify, purify your mind and antakaran.
Very true. Thank you, Dada. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I heartily thank Bhaiyaji for patiently answering all the inquiries in an insightful way. Now we shall conclude our session by doing the prayer as a token of gratitude to Bhagavan. Hence, I cordially invite Shailaja Reddy Yadam Didi. Didi is from Chennai, joined Geeta Pariwar in September 2023, and Didi is engaged in many sevas such as technical assistant and group coordinator up to level 4 and core trainer for level 1 and level 2. Didi, please do offer the prayer unto the lotus feet of Bhagavan through your sweet voice.
Didi, please unmute yourself.
Shailaja Didi, please unmute yourself.
Jai Sri Krishna.
Jai Shri Krishna.
Yogesham Satchidanandam वासुदेवं व्रजप्रियं धर्मसंस्थापकं वीरं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं श्रीकृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्।
Didi, I heartily thank you for the beautiful prayer. Last but not the least, let's respectfully thank the organizers, our technical assistant who is Srinivas Golakoti Bhaiyaji, our most honorable Vivechak Vikas ji Vaidya Bhaiyaji, and all of you inquisitive seers of truth. Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. Now we shall chant Shri Hanuman Chalisa.
श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारि बरनउ रघुबर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचारि बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा गानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा हाथ वज्र ध्वजा विराजय कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजय शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबेको आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबेको रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही समभाई सहस बदन तुम रोज सगावै अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावै सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा जम कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीना तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर पल जानु प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपै तीनों लोक हाकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवै महावीर जब नाम सुनावै नासै रोग हरै सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावै मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावै सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा जिनके काज सकल तुम साजा और मनोरथ जो कोई लावै सोई अमित जीवन फल पावै चारों जुग प्रताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे अष्ट सिद्धि नो निधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी माता राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावै जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावै अंत काल रघुवर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई और देवता चित्तन धरई हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई संकट कटई मिटई सब पीरा जो सुमिरई हनुमत बल बीरा जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूट ही बंदी महासुख होई जो यह पढ़ हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरी सा तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जयनाथ हृदय महडेरा पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुर भूप सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय।
Jai Shri Krishna to all the sadhaks.
Yeah, you can conclude the program. You can end the program now.